Nova wiped sweat from her forehead as she led her small group through the twisted metal graveyard that had once been the technological district of New Aurora. The setting sun painted the ruins in shades of amber and crimson, casting long shadows that danced between the skeletal remains of once proud structures. At 16, she'd spent more than half her life leading scavenging missions, but something about today felt different. "Nova, these readings are off the charts," Kai whispered, her dark eyes fixed on the salvaged scanner in her hands. The device's cracked screen pulsed with an intensity she'd never seen before. At 15, Kai was their resident tech expert, having taught herself from scattered data pads found in the ruins. Behind them, River moved silently, her keen eyes scanning their surroundings. As their strategist, the 14-year-old had an uncanny ability to spot both danger and opportunity. "We're being followed," she murmured, her hand tightening on her makeshift staff. "Scavengers?" Dawn asked, adjusting the medical pack on her shoulder. The youngest at 13, she'd already saved each of their lives at least once with her knowledge of healing arts learned from her mother. Nova shook her head. "No, this sector's been picked clean for years. Whatever K's scanner is detecting, it's something the others missed." They pressed deeper into the ruins, following the increasingly urgent beeping of K's scanner. The air grew thick with an electric charge that made the hair stand on end. Then they saw it, a massive door, partially buried under debris, marked with symbols that seemed to shimmer in the fading light. "That's not normal tech," Kai breathed, her scanner now emitting a continuous tone. "Those markings, they're responding to our presence." Nova approached the door, drawn by an inexplicable pull. The moment her fingers touched the cold metal, lines of blue light raced across its surface, forming intricate patterns. The ground beneath their feet trembled as ancient machinery groaned to life. "Maybe we should go," Dawn suggested, but her voice held more curiosity than fear. "The VIX patrols will be starting soon." "No," Nova said firmly, watching as the door began to slide open. "This is what we've been looking for. A way to fight back." The interior beckoned them with soft blue illumination. As they stepped inside, they found themselves in a vast chamber that seemed to awaken with their presence. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing star charts and ship schematics. "This is a warship," River realized, her eyes widening as she studied the displays. "One of the last ones built before the VIX invasion." Kai rushed to a control panel, her fingers dancing across its surface. "It's incredible. The systems are perfectly preserved. But why didn't anyone find it before?" "They weren't looking properly," Nova said, approaching the central command station. "Or maybe it wasn't ready to be found until now." The ship's systems continued to activate around them, each new system coming online with a harmonious hum. Displays showed the vessel's capabilities, weapons, shields, and technology far beyond anything they'd seen in the ruins before. Suddenly, alarms blared through the chamber. Multiple VIX signatures detected in orbit, an automated voice announced, "Defense systems initiating." The girls exchanged glances, realizing the magnitude of what they discovered. This wasn't just a relic of the past, it was a key to humanity's future. "We need to make a decision," Nova said, looking at each of her friends. "Once we activate the main systems, there's no going back. The VIX will know we're here." Kay's fingers hovered over the activation sequence. "We've spent our whole lives hiding. Maybe it's time to show them why they should have finished the job when they had the chance." River nodded grimly. "We've got the element of surprise. They never expected humans, especially not teenage girls, to find something like this." "Then we do this together," Dawn said, her young face set with determination. "For everyone we've lost." Nova placed her hand on the main control panel, and the others joined her. As one, they initiated the sequence that would change their world forever. The warship's core hummed to life, power surging through systems that had laid dormant for decades. Above them in orbit, the VIX patrol ships detected the energy signature. For the first time in their long history of dominating Earth, they felt something they'd forgotten was possible: fear. The revolution was about to begin, led by 4 girls who refused to accept the world as it was, and the Vix would soon learn that underestimating humanity's children had been their greatest mistake. The warship's central command chamber pulsed with newfound energy as holographic displays filled the air around the girls. Nova stood at the main console, her heart racing as information streamed past her eyes, tactical data, weapon systems, and combat protocols that humanity had nearly forgotten. "Look at this," Kai breathed, her fingers dancing across a secondary console. "The ship's AI is calling itself Aegis. It's teaching me how to use the systems." Her eyes widened as streams of data reflected in them. "This is incredible. The Vix didn't just defeat us, they caught us by surprise before ships like this could be deployed." River moved through the holographic displays like a dancer, her analytical mind piecing together the story they told. These battle plans, we had countermeasures for their technology. Solutions, we just never got the chance to use them. "Incoming transmission," the ship's AI announced, its voice resonating with a warmth that surprised them. "Multiple Vix vessels descending from orbit. Estimated time to contact 15 minutes. Dawn checked her medical supplies nervously. Can this ship actually fight? We're just 4 girls who've never even seen a real battle. Nova felt something stir within her, a connection to the ship that grew stronger with each passing moment. "We're not alone," she said, placing her hand on the main control interface. "Aegis, show us what you can do." The chamber transformed around them, tactical displays expanding to show their situation. 3 Vix patrol ships were descending through the atmosphere, that angular forms like dark shadows against the evening sky. "Analyzing combat parameters," Aegis announced. "Initiating neural sync with current crew. Warning, this process has never been attempted with adolescent humans." Before they could question what that meant, the ship's consciousness merged with their own. Nova gasped as knowledge flooded her mind, generations of combat experience, tactical procedures, and battle strategies becoming part of her thoughts. "This is..." Kai struggled to find words as she suddenly understood complex engineering principles. "It's like the ship is teaching us everything it knows." River's eyes glowed with tactical data. "The Vix ships, I can see their weaknesses now. Their shield configurations leave gaps when they maneuver. And I know how to operate the medical bay," Dawn added, her young face bright with wonder. "It's so much more advanced than anything we've seen." Nova felt the ship's weapons come online, power thrumming through systems that had slept for decades. "They're coming to investigate, not to fight," she realized, reading the tactical data. "They don't know what they're dealing with." Multiple hull breaches detected in outer sectors, Aegis reported. Vix ground forces attempting infiltration. "They still think this is just a derelict they can salvage," River said, a rare smile crossing her face. "Should we show them how wrong they are?" Nova nodded, feeling the ship's power at her command. "Kai, bring the defense systems online." "River, plot me a course out of these ruins." "Dawn, get to the medical bay and prepare for casualties. We don't know how this fight will go." The ship trembled as its ancient engines awakened. Debris cascaded from its hull as it began to rise, decades of concealment falling away to reveal gleaming armor beneath. "Vix vessels implementing attack formation," Aegis announced. "They are transmitting surrender demands." Nova's hands tightened on the controls. "Send them our response." The ship's main weapon systems powered up, targeting solutions appearing in Nova's mind faster than thought. The first Vix ship barely had time to register surprise before precise energy bursts pierced its shields at their weakest points. "Direct hits confirmed," River reported, her voice tight with excitement. "Their combat algorithms aren't designed to counter this level of technology. They expected primitive resistance, not this." Multiple Vix reinforcement vessels detected leaving orbit, Aegis warned. "Planetary defense grid activating." Nova felt a fierce pride as she watched the surviving Vix ships scatter before them. "They thought they'd broken humanity's spirit," she said, determination burning in her voice. Time to remind them why their ancestors feared us. The girls exchanged glances, each seeing in the other's eyes the same mix of fear and exhilaration. They had awakened more than just an ancient warship. They had reignited humanity's fighting spirit. As Aegis rose into the darkening sky, its weapons blazing against the Vix attackers, Nova knew there would be no going back. The age of hiding was over. The revolution had begun. The sky burned with energy discharges as Aegis climbed through the atmosphere, its ancient shields deflecting salvos from increasingly desperate Vix attackers. In the command center, Nova's hands moved across the controls with growing confidence, each motion guided by the ship's combat protocols merged with her own instincts. 6 more Vix cruisers dropping out of hyperspace, River announced, her voice steady despite the tension. The tactical display showed the new threats emerging like dark stars against the orbital plane. They're trying to box us in. Kai's fingers danced across engineering controls, her mind synchronized with the ship's systems. Rerouting power to forward shields. Nova, I can give you 15 seconds of maximum thrust before we need to cool down. Dorm status. Nova called out, executing a tight, evasive maneuver that sent them spinning between 2 Vix attack vectors. Dorm's voice came through the internal comm from the medical bay. No damage to crew spaces yet, but Nova, I'm picking up something else. There are human life signs in the ruins below us. The battle is drawing people out of hiding. Nova felt her heart skip. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore. Aegis, can you confirm? Affirmative, the AI responded. Multiple human settlements detected emerging from concealment. Vix ground forces are mobilizing to suppress them. They're rising up, River realized, her eyes wide. Our fight is giving them courage. A massive explosion rocked the ship as a Vix beam found its mark. Kai swore under her breath, her hands flying over the damaged control systems. Port shield is at 60%. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast. Nova straightened in her command chair, a plan forming in her mind. River, plot me a course through their formation. Kai, divert all non-essential power to weapons. Dawn, broadcast on all frequencies, tell our people to get to shelter. You're not thinking of, River started. They want to box us in. Nova's eyes gleamed. Let's show them why that's a mistake. Aegis surged forward, its ancient engines howling as they pushed to full power. The Vix formation tightened, their ships moving to trap the seemingly desperate human vessel. Energy spike, Kai shouted. They're powering up their mass drivers. Now, Nova commanded. The ship's AI executed their plan perfectly. As the Vix ships closed in, Aegis unleashed its full arsenal, not at the enemy ships, but at the space between them. The coordinated blast created a massive electromagnetic pulse that cascaded through the Vix formation, overwhelming their sensitive shield harmonics. Direct hits on 3 vessels, River reported, excitement creeping into her voice. Their formation is breaking. Through the tactical display, they watched as the Vix ships scattered, their carefully coordinated attack dissolving into chaos. But victory was short-lived as new alerts blazed through the command center. Multiple orbital weapons platforms activating, Aegis announced. Detecting major power signatures from Vix surface installations. They're calling in everything they have, Kai said Brinley. The whole planetary defense network is coming online. Dawn's voice cut through the tension. Nova, more reports coming in. People aren't just watching anymore, they're fighting back. The Vix ground forces are being overwhelmed in some sectors. Nova felt a fierce pride burn in her chest. Send them targeting data for the Vix weak points. If they're going to fight, let's give them every advantage we can. Incoming transmission, Aegis announced. The Vix command is demanding our surrender. They're threatening to destroy the human settlements if we don't comply. The girls exchanged looks, years of shared hardship and determination passing between them in an instant. Send them our answer, Nova said, her voice hard as steel. Show them what happens when they threaten our people. Aegis's weapons came alive once more, But this time they targeted the VIX ground installations with surgical precision. Each blast was calculated to minimize collateral damage while maximizing impact on the alien infrastructure. Multiple VIX command centers disabled, River reported. Their coordination is falling apart. The ground forces are losing central control. Broadcasting on all human frequencies, Dawn announced, telling them which targets to hit while the VIX are disorganized. As they watched, the tactical display showed more and more human resistance cells joining the fight. What had started as their single act of defiance was spreading like wildfire across the ruins of their world. "Nova," Kai called out, her voice urgent. "The ship's AA is showing me something. These weapons we're using, they're just the basics. Aegis has more, systems that haven't been activated yet." "What kind of systems?" "The kind that could turn the tide of not just this battle, but the whole war." Nova's hands tightened on the controls. "Then let's make sure we're alive to use them. River, plot us a course to the nearest VIX command center. It's time to show them what happens when humanity stops running." The ancient warship turned toward its new target, its hull gleaming in the light of orbital combat. Below, the ruins of their city burned with the light of revolution, and above, the stars beckoned with the promise of continued battle. The real war was just beginning. The command center of Aegis hummed with renewed purpose as holographic displays showed dozens of human resistance cells springing to life across the ruined cityscape. Nova watched the tactical overlay with a mixture of pride and concern as more and more blue dots appeared, representing groups joining the fight against their VIX oppressors. "Another settlement just went active in Sector 7, River reported, her fingers tracing patterns through the tactical data. "They're using the weaknesses we identified in the VIX armor. These people learn fast." Kai hadn't left her engineering station in hours, her eyes reflecting the constant stream of data. "The ship's teaching me something new," she announced suddenly. "There's a way to extend our shield technology to protect the ground forces." "We've got wounded coming in," Dawn's voice crackled through the comm. "The medical bay is already at half capacity, but these people, Nova, they're not just fighting with sticks and stones anymore. They're adapting the VIX's own weapons against them." Nova felt the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. What had started as their personal rebellion had sparked something much larger. Aegis, status report on the VIX response. Multiple VIX heavy carriers detected entering the system, the AA responded. Estimated arrival time, 6 hours. However, their ground forces are experiencing unprecedented losses. Human resistance has exceeded all historical models. "They never expected us to fight back like this," River observed, studying the battle patterns. Their whole strategy was based on maintaining fear and isolation. Now that people are working together. A new alert cut through their conversation. "Incoming transmission," Aegis announced. "Origin, underground bunker complex in Sector 3. They're requesting direct communication." Nova exchanged glances with her companions before nodding. "Put them through." The holographic display shifted to show a face they hadn't expected, an older woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that held decades of carefully hidden knowledge. "This is Commander Sarah Hayes of the Human Underground Defense Network. We've been waiting a long time for something like this." "The what?" Kai asked, momentarily looking up from her console. "Did you think you were the only ones preparing for this day?" Hayes smiled grimly. "We've been building a resistance network for years, gathering intelligence, stockpiling weapons. We just needed a catalyst, something to show people that the VIX aren't invincible." Nova leaned forward. "You've been organizing all these resistance cells." "Some of them. Others are spontaneous, born from the hope you've given them. But we have resources, training, and most importantly, a plan, if you're willing to work with us." Before Nova could respond, Kai called out urgently, "Nova, you need to see this. The ship's showing me its full capabilities. Those advanced systems I mentioned, they're not just weapons. This ship was designed to network with others like it." "Others?" River asked, her strategic mind already racing with possibilities. Hayes' smile widened. Did you think yours was the only warship we hid from the Vix? There are others scattered across different sectors. We just needed one to wake up first to show us it was possible. The implications hit Nova like a physical force. How many? Enough to make the Vix regret ever setting foot on our planet. But we need to act fast. Those carriers entering the system, they're not just bringing reinforcements. They're bringing planet-killer weapons. The Vix would rather destroy Earth than lose control of it. Dawn's voice came through again, stronger now. The wounded are telling me stories. There are other girls like us, Nova. Other groups who've been practicing, preparing, just waiting for a chance. Nova felt something she hadn't experienced in years, hope, tempered with determination. Commander Hayes, what's your plan? First, we need to get your ship to the North Sector. There's another vessel there, waiting to be awakened. Your eye should be able to trigger its activation protocols. Meanwhile, our ground forces will begin coordinated strikes against key Vix installations. The Vix will expect that, River interjected. They'll be preparing for a ground assault. Exactly, Hayes replied. Which is why we're going to give them exactly what they expect, and then something they don't. Your young engineer, they should be receiving the tactical data now. Kai's eyes widened as new information flowed through her neural link with Aegis. This is brilliant. Nova, we can do this. We can really do this. Nova studied the tactical display, watching as more human resistance signals appeared across the landscape. Each light represented people willing to fight, to die if necessary, for the chance to be free again. They had started this, 4 girls in an ancient warship, but it had become something much bigger. Aegis, she commanded, plot a course to the North Sector. Kai, begin power-up sequences for the networking protocols. River, coordinate with the ground forces. I want every resistance cell ready to move on our signal. Dawn, she paused, knowing what she was asking. Prepare the medical bay for casualties. This is going to get worse before it gets better. As Aegis turned toward their new destination, Nova looked at the tactical display one last time. The Vix carriers were still approaching, bringing with them the means to destroy everything she had ever known. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid. They had woken something that couldn't be put back to sleep, humanity's will to fight, to survive, to win. The real battle for Earth was about to begin. The northern sky blazed with the light of orbital combat as Aegis approached its target. Through the command center's view screen, Nova could see the massive shape of another warship emerging from its decades-long hiding place beneath a mountain. Behind them, the horizon glowed with the fires of 100 battles as humanity fought for its future. Vix carriers entering weapons range, River announced, her voice tense. They're launching their first wave of destroyers. Kay's hands flew over her console, coordinating with both their ship's systems and the resistance network. Commander Hayes' teams are in position. They're ready to implement Protocol Lazarus on our mark. Status on the second warship? Nova asked, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on them all. Activation protocols at 70%, Aegis reported, detecting multiple Vix strike teams attempting to breach its perimeter. Dawn's voice cut through the tension. Nova, the medical networks are reporting massive casualties in the southern sectors. The Vix are using bioweapons now. They're getting desperate. Nova's hands tightened on her control panel. Everything they'd planned, everything they'd fought for, came down to the next few moments. Kai, begin the neural sync with the second ship. River, coordinate with Hayes' ground forces. Dawn, tell the medical teams to hold on, just a little longer. The air crackled with energy as Aegis established a connection with its sister ship. Through their neural link, Nova felt the surge of power as ancient systems awakened. On the tactical display, she watched as the second warship, designation Phoenix, began to rise. Multiple Vix capital ships deploying planet-killer weapons, River reported, her voice steady despite the dire news. Impact in 15 minutes. "They're really going to do it," Kai whispered. "They're going to destroy the planet rather than lose control." Commander Hayes' voice came through their comm system. "All teams report ready. Waiting for your signal, Nova. Show them what humanity can do when we stand together." Nova took a deep breath, feeling the combined power of both warships at her command. Through their neural link, she could sense the thousands of resistance fighters waiting below, each one ready to play their part in humanity's last, desperate gambit. "Execute Protocol Lazarus," she ordered. "All units, commence Operation Daybreak." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the planet, hidden EMP devices activated, temporarily disrupting VIX communication networks. In that moment of confusion, resistance cells launched coordinated attacks on key installations. But this was just the beginning. "Phoenix is fully online," Kai announced triumphantly. "Neural network established. Nova, the ships are showing us their true purpose." Through their combined neural link, Nova saw it, the real reason these ships had been hidden away. They weren't just warships, they were keys to awakening something far more powerful. "Earth's defensive grid is responding," Aegis announced. "Ancient protocols activating." This planet was never defenseless, it was waiting. On the tactical display, they watched in awe as long-dormant defense systems began to power up across the globe. Hidden beneath mountains, beneath oceans, beneath the very ruins of their cities, humanity's last line of defense had slept, waiting for the right moment to awaken. "The VIX fleet is responding," River reported. "They're redirecting their planet killers to target the defense grid, but their formation, they're exposed." "Now," Nova commanded. Both warships struck simultaneously, their combined firepower amplified by the awakening planetary defense grid. The VIX fleet, caught in their attack formation, couldn't react fast enough. Ships began to fall from the sky like burning stars. "Multiple VIX capital ships destroyed," River announced, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "Their fleet is in disarray." But victory wasn't assured yet. The remaining VIX ships, realizing the true threat, began a desperate final assault. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled the sky as they threw everything they had at the two human warships. "Shields failing," Kai shouted as their ships shuddered under the assault. "We can't take much more of this." Dawn's voice came through, steady and determined. "The ground forces are reporting in. They've taken control of major VIX ground installations. We have their surface-to-orbit weapons." Nova felt the neural network expand as resistance fighters interfaced with captured VIX technology. In that moment, she understood the true power of humanity, not just their technology or their weapons, but their ability to adapt, to unite, to rise above their differences in the face of extinction. "All units, fire everything we have," she ordered. "Show them why you should never corner a species that thrives on impossible odds." The sky erupted in a symphony of destruction as human and captured VIX weapons fired in perfect coordination. The remaining alien ships, caught between orbital defense grid, ground-based weapons, and two ancient warships, began to fall. "Enemy fleet at 30% strength," River reported. They're retreating." Through the neural network, Nova felt the surge of triumph from thousands of human fighters. But she also felt something else, a warning from both ships' A's. "The VIX aren't done yet," she realized. "They're going to try one last, desperate attack. Everyone, brace for impact." The final battle for Earth was about to reach its crescendo. The remaining VIX ships hung in low orbit like wounded predators, their hulls scared and burning from the unprecedented resistance they'd encountered. Inside Aegis's command center, Nova watched as the tactical display showed their enemy's final desperate maneuver. "They're combining their remaining ship's power cores," River announced, her voice tight with concern. "The energy readings, they're going to try to take us all with them." "Confirmed," Aegis reported. "Detecting massive power surge in the VIX fleet. Estimated blast radius will encompass major population centers." Dawn's voice crackled through the comm. "The medical networks are detecting radiation spikes." Whatever they're planning, it's already affecting the surface. Can we stop it? Nova asked, her hands hovering over the controls. Kai looked up from her engineering station, her face pale but determined. Not directly, but the ships are showing me something. Nova, remember how they were keys to the planetary defense grid? There's more. They're not just keys, they're conduits. Commander Hayes' voice joined the conversation. She's right. The defense grid wasn't just meant to protect Earth. It was designed to channel the planet's own electromagnetic field. Our ancestors built it not just as a weapon, but as a shield. But the power requirements, River started, would burn out both ships, Kai finished. We'd have to sacrifice Aegis and Phoenix to power it. Nova felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Through their neural link, she could sense the fear and determination of every resistance fighter on the surface, every survivor watching the sky with desperate hope. How long do we have? She asked. 2 minutes until the VIX cores reach critical mass, River reported. Nova straightened in her command chair. Commander Hayes, get your people to shelter. Kai, begin power transfer protocols. River, calculate the optimal position for both ships. Dawn, thank you for keeping us alive this long. Nova. Dawn's voice was thick with emotion. It's been an honor. The two ancient warships moved into position, their systems beginning to synchronize with the planetary defense grid. Through their neural link, Nova could feel the power building, the very essence of Earth responding to humanity's desperate need. VIX cores at 90% critical, River announced. 1 minute remaining. They thought they could break us, Nova said, her voice carrying to every resistance fighter through the network. They thought humanity would accept slavery, accept extinction, but they never understood what makes us strong. It's not our weapons or our technology, it's our spirit, our ability to stand together in the darkest moments. The ship's power cores began to overload as they channeled energy into the defense grid. Around the planet, ancient systems awakened fully, drawing power from the Earth's magnetic field. 30 seconds, River counted down. The VIX ship's combined cores reached their breaking point, releasing a wave of destructive energy that lit up the sky like a newborn sun. But at that same moment, Nova gave the final command. Now. Aegis and Phoenix released their accumulated power into the defense grid. A shimmering barrier of pure energy expanded from the planet's surface, meeting the VIX's final attack. The collision of forces created a spectacle visible from orbit. A battle between extinction and survival, played out in cosmic scale. For a moment that felt like eternity, the outcome hung in balance. Then, slowly, humanity's shield began to prevail. The VIX's destructive wave was contained, channeled, and finally dissipated into harmless radiation. Enemy attack neutralized, Aegis reported, its systems failing. VIX fleet destroyed. Through the failing neural link, Nova felt the surge of jubilation from the surface. Across the planet, people emerged from shelter to see the last traces of the aurora-like shield fading from the sky. Both ships are going critical, Kai warned. We need to evacuate. No, Nova realized, feeling something through their connection. The ships. They're not dying, they're transforming. As their systems shut down, both Aegis and Phoenix began to change. Their ancient hulls reorganized, becoming part of the very defense grid they'd awakened. They weren't being destroyed, they were becoming permanent guardians of their world. This was their true purpose, Commander Hayes said with awe in her voice. Not just to defend Earth, but to become part of its permanent defense system. As the girls evacuated to the surface, they watched their ships complete their transformation. Where there had been 2 warships, there were now orbital platforms, permanently powered by Earth's own magnetic field. What now? Dawn asked, looking at the celebrating crowds gathering in the ruins. Nova smiled, watching as humans began to emerge from hiding all across the planet. Now we rebuild, not just our cities, but our civilization, and if the VIX ever return, they'll find more than just 4 girls in an ancient warship, River finished. they'll find all of humanity, Kai added, standing together. The sun rose over their liberated world, its light touching people who stood tall for the first time in generations. The Vix had thought they'd broken humanity's spirit, but they'd only forced it to go dormant, like a seed waiting for spring. Now that spirit had bloomed again, stronger than ever. And in orbit, 2 ancient warships, now transformed into eternal guardians, stood watch over a free Earth, their sacrifice a constant reminder of the power of human resilience, unity, and hope.